Hey, welcome back. My tied for first of my favorite things to talk about is prayer. So I like it so much. Today we're actually going to go for 3 hours. Just kidding, just the usual amount of time, but I'll do my best. And it is my deep, most profound prayer that you might hear something, one idea or one insight or one way of something being said in a new way that really opens the door for you and for all of us to enjoy the great benefit of what prayer is. And yesterday I was coaching a friend, and sometimes I recommend people watch the movie Defending Your Life, 1992, Albert Brooks, Meryl Streep. It's a hilariously poignant, incredibly wise movie about the afterlife. And I won't go too much into the details, but there's one scene where Albert Brooks is talking to Rip Torn, who should have gotten a Academy Award for his performance in that film. But Albert Brooks is in the afterlife, and he's like, "Where am I? What's going on? Is this heaven? No. Is this heaven? Is this hell? No." And Rip Torn, you have to watch it, but he kind of explains when you use a very small percentage of your mind, then basically you're on Earth. And he goes, Rip Torn says, "I use 50% of my brain," and Albert Brooks is asked how much of his brain he uses, and he says 49, and Rip Torn says, "No, 3%." And Albert Brooks is somewhat taken aback by this. He says, "I use 3% of my brain." And yeah, so Earth is where souls go who have access to very little of our consciousness, and yet we're growing. It's a school. And in my opinion, we're here on earth. One of the primary things we're here to do is to learn the art and science of prayer. Prayer being our capacity, our God given capacity to shape and mold reality, existence, experience into the aim and the desire of our heart to align it with universal good. So, earth is a school where we learn how to pray. And like any, say you're in sixth grade, the exams and the tests we take at the start of sixth grade are filled with mistakes and errors and incomplete and unable to do it. And by the time you get to the end of the sixth grade, well, you get good at something. And it's the same with prayer. Prayer is our most powerful tool. Our friend Archimedes, a few thousand years ago, said, "Give me a large enough tool and I'll move the world." So it's said in prayer, it's almost impossible to imagine, but it says if we get good at prayer, we can say to that mountain over there, "Mountain, be thou removed," and move into the sea. This would be a very large lever, and most of us don't operate at that level of prayer, but we will. But first, we have to learn to use it, to control it, to temper it. And in fact, on earth, most of us used our capacity to prayer in unwise ways. In other words, prayer involves an assimilation, a blend, a harmony of all of our greatest faculties: imagination, desire, visualization, intention, thought, feeling, emotion. All of it can be said to be a mixture, an admix, and ingredients that are added into whether we're praying wisely and effectively or praying ineffectively and producing unhappy results. But in effect, I would say that prayer is the ability that we are all given by a higher power to shape our own minds and our own consciousness. Whatever the shape of our mind, whatever the current condition of our consciousness is, the life that we lead. So if we have a brain that's shaped like a flower pot, we're going to get flower pots. If we have a consciousness that's shaped like fear, insecurity, worry, and lack, then that's what we're going to receive. Prayer is our ability to take our mind at any given moment and shape it through intention, through words, through feeling, through the whole host of faculties that we have to change our consciousness. When our consciousness changes, then our reality changes. This is the great power of prayer. The problem, the dysfunction, we might say the pathology of prayer is when our minds are filled with fear or worry or anxiety. Those are prayers. Those are prayers, and we're receiving those answers all the time. Now, none of us are always praying for anxiety, fear, worry, dread, lack, scarcity, or disease, but all of us are a mixed bag. We're using these faculties, but they're not aligning. They're not anywhere near as coherent and coordinated as they could be. So how can we begin to get better at prayer? We can realize honestly within ourselves that we could get better. We can get better at shaping reality, and that we do have this God-given gift, and we're using it, and we can use it in more effective, elegant, and efficient ways. So what I recommend today's assignment, if you wish to accept it, in this week-long study of prayer, is pray for your higher power to illumine and enlighten you on new, interesting, fresh, creative genius around praying. And all week long, we'll just look at prayer from different angles, so that by the end of the week, we'll be master prayers. We'll use 4% of our brain, and we can move on to a different planet where there's more fun things to do and less crazy people. So pray well, and we'll see you all tomorrow. I pray.